have compiled these three different topics today for the benefit of youngsters and also practicing gynecologists. And this we are doing from past couple of months. Last time we had a session on ERA, and this time we have a guest faculty as Dr. Paresh Patel, sir. So, sir is a pioneer in economical protocol regimes, especially the low dose HCG protocol. So I and Dr. Jay have learned so much from his protocol, and we have utilized it and found it to be very, very helpful, especially in low resource settings or patients who are not affordable for HMG or Recom FSH injections. So I thought sir is the best person to give this knowledge on low dose HCG. Sir is a very active member, and sir has a fertility center in DISA, and he has done more than 6,000 IUI cycles with an in-house IUI laboratory. And he runs training programs, and his outcomes are excellent, especially in patients where there is expected poor outcome. Sir has been, I think, scientifically, he is doing excellent work in giving good outcomes for these patients. Sir has been a past president of Palanpur OBGYN Society. And over to you, sir. You can please take over now.
Thank you, Dr. Shilpa and the Bangalore Fertility Society for inviting me for this webinar. I will be sharing scientific facts regarding this protocol, as well as I will discuss total 3 patients who conceived one twice, and one single time. And over the next half an hour or so, we will see what low dose HCG protocol is. Basically, it is an use of injection HCG 150 or 200 units for ovarian stimulation in late follicular phase of the cycle, after follicular recruitment of at least 12 mm of size, either in a spontaneous cycle or followed by lateral or oral drug stimulation, or by gonadotropin, or by combination regimes. By any way, you need to recruit follicle up to 12 mm, and then HCG will support that follicle. I think now everyone knows, because of Dr. Jay, how to make HCG 150 or 200. So we will not discuss it here. We will discuss if required in a question answer session. So do I have any scientific backup to use this molecule as an ovarian stimulation protocol? Yes, I do have. So I'll be discussing that scientific backup. And then I will discuss my three real cases so that you will understand how important this protocol is, okay? So basically, follicular maturity and oocyte competence requires conversion of predominantly androgenic microenvironment inside the developing follicle into an estrogenic environment. For this purpose, both FSH and LH are required. Both FSH and LH, they work via autocrine, paracrine factor like inhibin B, activin, follistatin, inhibin A, and growth factor, IGF-2. So basically, there are only FSH receptors on follicle up to 5 mm of size. From 5 to 10 to 12 mm, both FSH and LH receptors are in equal number. FSH induces LH receptors. And after 12 mm, most of the receptors, that is around 85%, are LH receptors. So FSH is involved in recruitment of the follicle as well as early follicular growth in early phase of follicular phase. It produces estrogen in a low quantity. Inhibin stimulates the production of steroids, while activin prevents or rather reduces the production of steroids. So in the early phase of the cycle, when activin is high and inhibin is low, the production of estrogen is in a low quantity. And after that, once LH receptors are seen on follicle post 12 mm, the control of inhibin production, that is inhibin A, comes under the control of LH. And via this inhibin A, too much of the androgen production occurs, little bit progesterone production occurs in granular cells, and too much of estrogen production, which is must to reinitiate the process of meiosis inside the developing oocyte, as well as it induces the LH cells. So for LH cells to happen in a natural cycle, estradiol level of at least 200 picogram per ml for at least 50 आवर वो होना चाहिए. अगर वो नहीं होता है, then वो follicle का meiosis नहीं होगा, and then the follicle will not be of the good quality. You will not get the pregnancy in a patient where LH is deficient. And for this purpose, I am using HCG as an LH source. What this low level of progesterone does, it is very important to have little progesterone towards the end of the follicular phase. So when we rupture our follicle, we need to see the endometrium and cervical mucus properly. Cervical mucus will tell us regarding good estrogen production from that follicle, while the endometrium and the two apart lines in the endometrium will show little bit secretory changes. That is because of little progesterone that has come even before ovulation. And this progesterone causes FSH surge. This FSH helps LH in process of ovulation. FSH separates the cumulus cells from the surrounding granular cells and helps in the expulsion of the ovum. So basically, LH is very important once follicle crosses 12 mm of size. So now in patients who are deficient in LH, these all functions of LH are compromised and follicle maturity is hampered. So which are these patients where LH is required to get a good follicle and good competent oocyte? So hypo is one category where LH are low. Patients more than 35 years of age, they have LH, but that LH is not good. And if we supplement a good source of LH in those patients, then follicle maturity is increased, improved. And we have seen good results in low AMH group of patients using low doses. I don't know whether there is any correlation between AMH and LH. Because when we see a PCO with high AMH, they have very high LH. So likewise, in a patient who are having low AMH, they should be supplied some form of LH to get a good oocyte. And we have seen in our clinical practice that it is producing good oocyte, good pregnancy rate. And in a patient who don't respond to routine stimulation, they also get benefited by if we supply LH in a late follicular phase. Basically, HCG is similar to LH, but it is 6 times more potent than LH, and it has a very long half-life. So if you supply HCG in a late follicular phase, it will provide functions of LH to that patient. When it is required, it is very helpful. So I am not the only one using this molecule. I have read a lot of articles. There are a lot of articles available from Middle East, from Europe, and from China also, where doctors have used 150 or 200 units of HCG in patients, and they have got very good results. I met Dr. Peter Plateau also in Udaipur, and I have a long discussion with him regarding this low dose HCG. As I told, the receptors post 12 mm are mainly LH. The red ones are all the LH receptors. The studies have confirmed that when we give HCG in a late follicular phase, the intrafollicular androgen level increases, which provides substrate for the increased estradiol production towards the end of the follicular phase, which is must to get LH surge. Now, looking at this backup, I will come over to my cases. I have selected 3 very interesting cases from my collection. We have a collection of around 400 cases. From that, I have selected 3 very interesting cases. So coming over to my first case, she was a patient from Rajasthan near Javai. She is a case of BOH with 2 second trimester spontaneous missed abortions, 1 full-term IUFD, and 1 female expired at the age of 9 years because of cardiac disease. So basically, she conceived 4 times, but no living children. And she was referred to us on her day 12 by a senior gynecologist from nearby town Palanpur. As there was no response after giving letrozole for 5 days, and then HMG 150 units for 3 doses on day 9, 10, and 11. And when she came on day 12, her all other parameters were normal. Ovarian reserve was normal, semen was normal, tubes were normal, pelvic anatomy was normal. And she was taking thyronol 25 microgram daily. So when I saw her on day 12, she has total 4 follicles more than 12 mm, 312 mm and one 14 mm follicle. And immediately, as her age was 35, she was not responding to routine stimulation. I thought to give HCG to this patient. I prescribed 3 injections of HCG, 175 units at that time. It was in 2018, April 2018. And after that, on day 15, she has one very good follicle of 19 mm with 9.1 mm of triple line endometrium, thin but good cervical mucus. I always see cervical mucus when I give trigger. Cervical mucus and endometrium are my major guides, which guide me when to give trigger or to delay trigger for one day. So I will look for little progesterone effect, good estrogenic effect, and then I will trigger. So on day 15, everything was good. I gave trigger with 10,000 HCG. And as patient was coming from far away, we prescribed NMP 200 BID for 14 days to be started from day 18 and to report us on 19th of May. And pregnancy test was positive. So she conceived in the first cycle with low dose HCG at our center. But unfortunately, pregnancy course was not smooth as she has 4 fetal losses. She was a clear-cut case of EPLA. She didn't become ready for planned cesarean section at 31 weeks with reverse and diastolic flow in umbilical artery. And then after 1 month, when we inquired what happened to this patient, the baby expired inside the uterus and she delivered by LSCS in Sumerpur in Rajasthan. Now, same patient came to us exactly after 4 years and 2 months in 2022 July. Now her age was from 35 to 40, but still ovarian reserve was very good. Immediately, I thought of giving the same low-dose HCG protocol to this patient, but for recruitment, I gave injections HMG 150 units daily, and total 6 injections were supplied from day 3, and follow-up was advised on day 8. At that time, recruitment was there, but still follicle were not 12 mm. So I gave one more dose of HMG, and then after that, 4 injections of HCG were supplied to be taken by herself at the home and to keep relations. She has all 5 pregnancies which are spontaneous pregnancies. So we didn't advise IUI or any sophisticated IVF treatment. And on day 14, when I saw her, she has 3 beautiful corpora lutea with 13 mm early secretory phase of endometrium. 10,000 HCG was given as a luteal support along with dydrogesterone 10 milligram BID for 15 days. And on 5th of August, when we called her for pregnancy confirmation, her pregnancy test was strong positive with beta HCG of 3,944. And we were very happy that she conceived at age of 40 with our protocol. But unfortunately, it was an embryonic pregnancy. So we need to remove that fetus by drugs. But because she conceived twice, we just advise her to report to us after 6 months. And again, same patient came to us on 30th of December, 2022. And at that time, it was her day 4. And antral follicle count was very good at that time also at age 41. Immediately, same protocol was applied, HMG 150 units. For 5 doses were given, and on day 9, when I saw her, she has a very good recruitment to 215 mm, 214 mm, and 112 mm follicle. So immediately HCG was given just for 2 doses because lead follicle was 15 mm. And on day 12, when I saw, she has 4 mature follicles with 10.1 mm triple N endometrium, very good cervical mucus. 10,000 trigger was given, and as she has all previous spontaneous pregnancy, we didn't advise IUI or everything. And I saw on follow-up on day 15, out of 4, 3 follicles ruptured with very good endometrium. 400 BID NMP support was given, and just a minute. And on 18th of January, she conceived again for the 3rd time with very good beta HCG 5,157. This time we continued LMWH throughout the pregnancy along with ecospin 150 milligram, and pregnancy course was very smooth. She delivered a healthy child, I think in November or December last year at our center only. So she was a wonderful case. Now what this case tells us. So all 3 times patient conceived naturally. No IUI or IVF treatment was carried out. Her last spontaneous pregnancy was in 2015. Thereafter, till 2023, she was not using any contraceptive, but didn't conceive even once in almost 8 years. That is more than 90 ovulatory cycles. And she conceived all 3 times when a good source of LH, that is the low dose HCG, was supplied in a late follicular phase of the cycle. So this produced competent ovum which achieved the pregnancy all 3 times. Aneuploidy is not the only cause in elderly patients for infertility. It definitely decreased the number of euploidy eggs, but all eggs cannot be aneuploid. And fair trials must be given to such couples if her pelvic anatomy, husband semen, and all other factors are normal. Then if we supply good environment inside the follicle, if we can produce good estrogen in a late follicular phase of that cycle, and if we find a euploid egg, then that patient has a chance to get a pregnancy. So it's amazing. The patient conceived twice at 35, 40, and 41 years of age. Now coming over to my second case, basically she was one of my trainee. She came for her IUI training from Indore to my center in 2021 July. When she saw working us like this, she has one missed abortion early. Age was 34, AMH was 1.1. She decided to undergo IUI treatment at our center in Gujarat. We did stimulation by looking sonography on net, and then injection Menopur was given 150 units daily, continuously for 10 days for ovarian stimulation. There were 3 very good follicles with very good endometrium. We did IUI here, double IUI rather, and she didn't consider that IUI. So we advised her to go for IVF treatment because she was coming from very far away. She herself was a doctor. She underwent 2 IVF simulations with Gonalep and Menopur at Indore in a very reputed IVF center. But both the times, only one blast, very poor quality, 3cc I think, was formed. And the consultant was not happy with the embryo quality. So she did one stimulation, she did second stimulation, and then in February, both the embryos were transferred. So DET was done in February 2022, and the IVF cycle was not successful. So the consultant talked with me, and then she was of opinion that donor egg should be used. The egg quality is really very poor, and we thought, she told me that you convince her to undergo donor eggs. But then when she called me again in March 2022, I told, we will not do donor eggs. Let me try my protocols. And then I was, hello, I'm audible?
Yes, sir. Please go on, sir.
Okay. So she was put on some molecules like DHEA, Ultra Q300, folic acid, methyl cobalamin, vitamin D, and she was asked to report me in July 2022. But she was very anxious, so she called me on 21st of May 2022, and she wanted a pregnancy badly. She was very anxious. At that time, I asked, what is your day of cycle today? And it was her 8th day. At that time, I was in a Ranger Reserve Corbett, and I'm fond of taking photographs. I was taking photograph of birds. So I immediately asked her to start injection HCG, 150 units daily from day 8 for at least 8 days. It will cover the phase of late follicular phase, and the follicle should rupture spontaneously. That was my thought. And she was not asked to do any sonography, no any intervention, no little support. And on 14th of June, she called me at 11 p.m. that, sir, my pregnancy test is positive. She was not able to believe that how my pregnancy test can be positive. So I just reassured her and told, give me beta-CG in the morning. And the beta-CG was 3,357. She went to the same IVF consultant. She showed the beta-CG. She was also surprised to see these levels. So she asked her to do repeat after 48 hours. And it was more than 6,500. It was a twin live pregnancy. Unfortunately, one of the fetus expired at around 11 weeks. And the second fetus, she delivered a healthy child, I think in 2023. At Indore, it was a normal delivery. As she was a gynecologist and age was 35, she again called me in December 2023 that, sir, I want second child, please help me doing stimulation. Or should I come to DISA for IU? I told just, no, we'll do the same in the cycle in the same day. Just tell me what is the AFC count and what are the size of the follicles. The AFC count was 5 plus 6. All the follicles were silent. So letrozole 2.5 milligram BID was given from day 3 to day 7. And she was asked to report me on day 8 with the sonography findings. And there were 4 follicles, 10, 10, 12, and 6.8 at that time. So I added 150 units of HMG for 3 doses. I still want 1 or 2 more follicles. Suppose that she has 2 follicles which are more than 12 mm. And then from day 11, 3 injections of HCG 150 units were given, day 11, 12. And 2 report on day 13. On day 13, 2 follicles, 18 and 17 with 9.2. Triple N endo was also there. Again, I told just take 1 HCG more. And she took HCG on day 13. And trigger was given on day 14. On day 16, the all follicles ruptured with good endometrium. So 5,000 HCG was given as a lateral support along with Meprogen 400 milligram 1HS. On 7th of January 2024, she called me that my pregnancy test is weak positive and beta HCG was 83.5. At present, she is carrying 15 weeks or rather 19 weeks. Today only she called me. So it was a 19 weeks live healthy pregnancy, singleton pregnancy at this time. Hope she will deliver a healthy child this time also. So now what this case tells us. So at age 34 or 35 with AMH 1.1 nanogram per ml with AFC count of 4 plus 5, donor eggs is not the answer. Egg quality depends on euploid status of the ovum, cytoplasmic maturity, and intra-ovarian environment. That is more important. All eggs cannot be aneuploidy at the age of 34 years. Endocrine and local paracrine factors play a major role in producing good quality embryos. She conceived twice using low dose HCG for ovarian stimulation, and that too unmonitored cycles. I have not seen her sonography. Both times at first attempt, naturally, after 2 failed IVF stimulations and 1 IUI failure at the age of 34 and 35. And she has been advised home donation. She was under tremendous pressure to get her own genetic child. First time she had twins, and second time she is having a singleton pregnancy. Coming over to my last case of this presentation, this patient was having age 35, secondary infertility since last 3 years, history of 1 neonatal death before 3 years. So she conceived naturally at age 32. Therefore, she didn't conceive. BMI was very low, that's 13.76, and AMH was just 0.56. All other parameters were normal. Tips were normal, pelvic anatomy was normal, semen was normal. She had 1 pregnancy. So we immediately advised her to undergo superovulation with IUI for 3 cycles, and we plan to use low dose HCG protocol in this patient. So what I did, let us see. On 29th of June 2023, when she came on day 5 of the cycle, I prescribed injections REC FSH along with HMG 75 units each as the BMI was very low, and they were given just for 3 days. On day 8, she has a very good recruitment, 13.6, 14, 15, 14, and 13.5, 5 follicles. So immediately 3 doses of injection HCG, 200 units were given. And on day 11, she has 4 mature follicles, 18, 19.2, 17.6, 16.5 with 10.8 mm triple N endometrium. Very good cervical mucus, 10,000 trigger was given. She became ready for IUI. We did IUI, semen count was good, IUI was smooth. Little support was given in form of 400 BID NMP. And on 26th of July, she conceived with beta HCG of 1,960. It was a twin pregnancy. She delivered in this March only, both the twins, healthy twins, and it was a wonderful case. So basically, to summarize, injection HCG 150 or 200 units IU in a late follicular phase can be very effective in selected group of patients. It cannot replace time-tested FSH or HMG injections. So I will repeat, you cannot replace HMG or FSH with HCG. We have been using this molecule since 2014 and have got many pregnancies. As we are practicing in an area where patients are coming very late for their treatment, and it is very difficult to convince them for IVF treatment. We have tried such innovative protocols in our practice, and we have got results in many patients. Lastly, do not copy blindly this protocol. It is not for every patient. It has its own indications. I use it in 4 indications, like Poseidon group 4 patient with everything normal, preferably 1 living child. So if she is a case of secondary infertility with good pelvic anatomy, then I am very sure that she will conceive. There should not be any endometriosis, there should not be any tubal factor, and only solely Poseidon group 4. Then in a low AMH Poseidon group 3 also, we have got many pregnancies. Also in a patient where follicle is good, 18, 19, and endometrium is not, we are not happy with the endometrium, and there is no organic problem. We have documented a good endometrium in a previous cycle or in a mock cycle. At that time also, if we supply just last dose of HCG, it has produced pregnancies in many cases. I have tried in my poor PCO patients also after 12 mm recruitment, and we have got pregnancies in those categories of patients also. And lastly, in a shallow endometrium that treats the endometrium is not that great, adding HCG as a last dose has also produced pregnancies in some very hopeless patients also. So egg donation is not the only answer for patients having age more than 35, as well as having low AMH as low as 0.3, 0.4. We have got pregnancy. The lowest AMH at which we have got pregnancy is 0.01. AMH has decreased the number of eggs. It is not infertility. So AMH cannot dictate the fertility status of any patient. So fair trial using good stimulation protocol helps couple getting their own genetic. It is very important. At age 41, at AMH 0.5, they are getting their own genetic child at almost zero cost. So thank you, friends. Thank you, Dr. Shilpa. Thank you, Karnataka Society. Big thanks to Jai, because I have used this protocol for a very long time, but Dr. Jai has made it public throughout the country, and I am seeing that 100 participants are there in this webinar. So they all will get stimulated by this protocol. And this beautiful photograph was taken by me. I'm a good photographer. I love doing photography. So we were invited to Javai. Javai is a leopard sanctuary near Pali. And that patient was from that area, the first patient who conceived thrice. So she invited us at her home for a dinner. And then we did a safari, and then I took this one. So thanks again, Dr. Shilpa. We will take any questions which are there in mind of any participant, and then we can go ahead. Thank you.
No questions on the chat box, sir. I think one person is asking, minimum follicle size before starting HCG must be 11 mm, or can it be given at any size?
12 mm should be the good size. So we have used in, see, previously when I used in 10 mm, 12, 11 mm, those patients didn't conceive. But when I used in patient after 12 mm, many patients they conceive many patients.
Yeah.
And it is really helpful. So what happens when you use in early follicular phase? When you use in early follicular phase, then it will cause atresia of those follicles. The follicle will not develop. So you need to wait till 12 mm.
So ovarian Doppler, do you do routinely, sir?
No, I don't do any Doppler. My guides are just endometrium, cervical mucus, and follicle. I see for the late follicular phase progesterone in every case, and that is my major guide for this. In particularly in IUS, particularly when we require good ovulation.
So you do progesterone levels, sir? In such
No, I don't do it. No level, just clinical. Just.
You look for just that minimal progesterionization of
yes, endometrium towards the periphery,
Yeah. Thank you, sir. I think it was wonderful. So when do you abort low dose HCG cycle? After how many doses you stop giving it, sir?
Okay, I have used from 1 dose to 5 doses.
Okay.
So see, when patient requires too much of doses, then we have started very, very early.
Yeah.
That patient is not a good patient.
On an average, I think 2 to 3 doses is good enough, no, sir?
Yes,
You
yes, three are enough. Three, maximum four. If you started on 12 mm, if we are starting on 15 mm, then just two are enough. We have seen in that case also.
Okay.
And only when I don't monitor that cycle, I give for 1 week or 8 days. When there are many patients who call me from very distant places, and then I use in those patients, and we have got a lot of practice in medicals also.
Okay. So, do you use letrozole or clomiphene citrate in
I
the...
don't use clomiphen since last 10 years now.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
using only letrozole.
Okay. So, Antag, do you use regularly in these cases, sir, in the
In
cycle?
IUI, I don't use Enta. In IUI, I don't use. I use only gonadotropin, letrozole. I use recombinant in my PCO group of patients. I use HMG in patients who are more than 30, 31 years of age or who are low AMH group of patients. HMG must in Poseidon group for patients.
Okay. Yeah. So, how to prepare and all, it is this thing. So, I think we'll put it up in the group, sir.
Yes, 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 that can be put very easily. Yes.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for sparing your time. I know you're giving the same talk in Gujarat, Isar,
Yes, sir.
but
Yes.
it is wonderful. I think your immense experience in economical protocols, I think it's something which we all have to learn to save money for the patients and also to give equal results, I suppose. I mean, not to compromise on the results. So thank you for sharing your work. I think you have popularized the low dose HCG protocol so much that many now, I think I have used it quite often in my practice now. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. So we'll go to the next session, which will be my topic on entrepreneurship and
So should I stop sharing screen?
yes, sir. I did, I think, sir.
Okay, fine.
Can you see my screen, sir? Is it visible?
Yes, yes, yes. Just a minute.
Yes.
So without wasting much time, let's move on to the next session. I know it's late night and people are busy, are tired after their busy OPDs. So this is one of the topics which is very close to my heart, along with the financial topic. So today, I think this is the need of the hour for youngsters and also for every doctor, I suppose, every gynecologist who I think are really one of the most hardworking community in the human race. I believe so personally that gynecologists are from different planet and they really deserve to do well in life for the commitment and also for the passion that they usually have for their work. So when we actually become doctors or when we start our choose our career to become a doctor, so we have a lot of dreams, that is to deliver value. We are going to change the world, but how much of it is going to happen if we ourselves are not self-reliant and if we are broke? And how many people can we help if we ourselves are not self-sufficient and if we ourselves are not confident in what we are earning? So as you all know, when we board a aeroplane, first the announcement is make sure that your mask is on before helping others. So I think as a doctor community, I think we all have to help each other to reach that stage where we are all self-reliant, we are all financially sound, so that we can help out others in our at least close-knit community or in the patient care. We give the best without actually worrying about what is going to happen to us and the insecurity about the finances. So why this topic has become relevant now? What has changed from before? Why are we even talking about it? So in the previous era, as we can see, everything about the value of a business was in physical assets like real estate, like putting a plant or an equipment or inventory and distribution infrastructure. All these was the value for the business. But today, almost all the value of a business is in the eyeballs it has access to and the customer base it has acquired. Like Amazon doesn't manufacture anything. It just has like, a whole inventory of the, I think, highest inventory. Like Uber or Ola doesn't own even a single car, but that is the biggest, the taxi business that is there in the world. So I think, and like Swiggy and Zomato, who don't even own one restaurant, but they are the biggest suppliers for food today. So again, collating the same data to us, the challenges that we face in our profession is that it has become too competitive. The earnings are too low for the efforts and for the hours that we put in. The government policies are getting more and more restrictive without actually prioritizing the doctor's benefits. And we have a big work-life balance, the dilemma that every doctor will go through, both males and females. And advertisement is not my way of going. My practice is what has been imbibed in many of us. And some of us think that advertising no longer works to set up our practice. So, but why do we want to set up our own practice? So, every one of us now, I think, at least in my generation, between like, say, 30 to 45 years of age, have this entrepreneur seizure. As in, like, suddenly we realize, why should we work for a corporate? Why we should work for or under somebody? We want to have our own practice. But we don't realize that technical skills is not equal to business skills. We may be the greatest of the obstetrician. We may be the greatest person who is skilled enough to do a laparoscopic hysterectomy in say like half an hour, but we are very poor in business skills. And we need to be good at the business aspect of the practice, not just the technical thing, which is the key to set up a good and also a profitable practice. And we can achieve financial freedom by this when we understand the vital distinction between the technical knowledge and also the business skills. And then figure out as to what we need to do to run a successful healthcare business. So healthcare industry is always like 10 years behind other industries. Other industries, like it could be automobile, it could be retail, it could be any other form of industry. Healthcare lags 10 years behind. As in like what happens in the other industries will happen or will take at least 10 years later, it will come to the healthcare. Maybe like the legal or even the marketing. So everything is like healthcare is a little late. And ours is the highly scrutinized industry. And post-COVID, we have seen so much transformation in healthcare that the online consultations are increasing, the patient expectations are different, the type of diseases that we see are slightly different. And to run a successful healthcare service, I think marketing is the key to it. And marketing is like a fuel to run any business to become successful. So like how meticulously we plan everything in patient care, like even if we have to do a difficult surgery or even when we have to do a low dose HCG protocol, how much effort and how much thought goes into it. So similar way, we have to, I think, allocate that kind of planning, effort and our mind in planning for building our practice and setting it up as a successful business. So having a plan dramatically will increase our success, not by just winging it, like doing it as a hodgepodge or doing it in bits and pieces. So everything has to have a good directional path. And always high growth practice will have a strong focus on marketing, and they make marketing a regular routine in their business and they execute it continuously. But many think that we are great at service. I am so good in doing normal deliveries, or I am so good in giving good success in IVF. So it is enough for me to become successful. When the word gets out in the public, and that is when I will start building my practice. But nobody knows how good we are unless we go all out and tell about what we are. And that is what is marketing. So before the patients come to us, they only know how good we are only by our marketing skills. So the best marketing person always wins. And I think this is a given now. So I'm not telling you if you're not good, don't market or like that. So it is just that I suppose all of us are blessed or are skilled almost equally. And it is just the game changer is about how we market ourselves, how we posture, and how we position ourselves in the eye of a patient platform. So what is marketing? Is it advertising? Is it branding? This is what we are going to learn today. And marketing is a strategy that we use in getting our ideal target market, that is the patient, to know us, to like us, to trust us enough to become our patients. So here, imagine if it is an IVF market. So our strategy of marketing is to make them be aware of that there is somebody like us who is existing, and they can trust us enough to become our patients. So many doctors, especially the conservative ones, ask, do I really need marketing? I am so good at my work. Why do I need marketing? A good service is what it takes, is what they think. But a good service is a given, like that is the expectation of the patient. And it is just a retention tool. It is not something which will draw the patient towards you. So before retention, we need to think of acquiring that patient. And that is what marketing is all about. And the most successful entrepreneurs always start with marketing. And this, I think, many of us doctors kind of miss and think that like our word of mouth is equally good and things like that. So how do we do this marketing? So we can place an ad, we can keep paying a ad agency, or we do a SEO, like where a agent will come and tell that they have the best SEO tool, AI tool, social media, podcasts, websites. So there are too many things available, and in this buffet of the options, how do we choose which one is the one which is effective? And the internet has now opened a world of competitors. So previously our competitors were just across the road, but now it has moved to other part of the globe also, where they can do an online consult and take their opinion. So when to start marketing? So knowing is not doing. Knowing and not doing is the same as not knowing. So once we know about it, we have to start doing it. And we should not get paralyzed by just doing analysis. So we will never get anything perfect the first time. And we truly learn by only doing it. So don't let perfectionism become a source of procrastination to you. So we have to start somewhere. And money loves speed. So the best time to plant a tree is yesterday, and the second best time to plant the tree is today. So the earlier we realize it, and the earlier we realize, the better, the earlier we start. I'm sorry. So, yeah. So 80-20 rule is Pareto's principle, where 80% of the effects come from 20% of causes, and doing more of those 20% will fast track us to our success. So there are so many chores, so many things that we actually do in our lives, and majority of it is a waste of time. So we concentrate on those 20% which will give us results. So time is money, and this is a given. Money is a renewable resource. You can always get more money, but we can never get more time. So the struggling entrepreneurs will spend time to save money, whereas successful business owners will spend money to save time. And this is the best kept secret of the rich. So delegating work to others and making optimal use of your time is something which all doctors should understand. And this is, I think, the most important take home point today, that we try to do everything. So even for me, for example, I mean, I want to do even a simple day 2 follicular scan, then I still want to do the an antenatal check. So this is, I think it is ingrained to us that this is how it should be. But I think we have to start delegating so that our time is utilized in a much better way, more optimally. So why word of mouth marketing is not a good one, or is not enough as of now? Because it's extremely slow and it is unreliable way of building a business. And we feel like asking for referrals to patients is like begging or asking for a favor, which is wrong. So, but one of the best ways to get referrals is by straight out asking for them from patients who we have given good result. So if somebody asks you, do you know any good restaurant? How quickly we come out and say. So it is not that we are doing a favor to that restaurant. It is just that we want the experience for our friends or relatives to be good. So consider this also as the same thing. So if we have done anything good to a patient, I think if you cannot do it yourself, I think your secretary or your receptionist can just put in a word, and that is how you keep improving your word of mouth, the referrals. But there is so much available now, the media. So which one to choose? There is a print media like newspaper, magazines. There is radio, TV, that is called the broadcast media. There is digital media. There is email. There is pay-per-click. There are so many ads on digital space, and each one has its own idiosyncrasies and technicalities. And we definitely need to know about each one and choose the right one. Otherwise, our whole thing is going to become a flop, and then we will stop believing in doing the marketing when we don't see the result. So the number one is a dangerous number, wherein we only have one source of referral, and when we have only one source of marketing and only one type of media that we use for marketing. So there was a time when Google suddenly changed its algo, and people who had spent a lot of money to build that the search engine optimization had to rework on their strategy. So just don't put all eggs in one basket. I think we all should explore what are the options and try and utilize each one of them. Social media, by definition, is a form of media. It is not a strategy. So this is just one of the vehicles that we can use to do the marketing. And every type of media, as I told before, has its own idiosyncrasies, and social media is no exception. We need to understand social media. We need to understand as to how it works, so that we put in our effort based on our knowledge. So in digital marketing, we have Google My Business, which is a free listing, which I think every doctor should have, and it is free. There is a Facebook page, there is Instagram page, YouTube channel, website, which should be always updated. And there are third party platforms like Practo, Just Dial, which I wouldn't suggest, but they are something which you can always begin with and then start your own thing. But even to begin with, it is an expensive affair. Better to start with your own Google My Business free listing and then take it from there. But all this takes a lot of time and effort. And always when you use other platforms, like say if you're using Facebook, if you're trying to put in all your effort there to build a page and to build a follower, it still is somebody else's page. So what happens in Facebook, the rules and regulations can change overnight, and that is when it will start affecting you. So it is like living in a rental space. So having an ownership is extremely important even on a digital platform. So we have to always build our own marketing assets, such as websites, podcasts, email lists, and having the data of all the patients. If you can have their phone numbers, or if you can have their address, so that would be like one of the biggest thing that you can ever achieve. And social media, simply we have to use it as a way to drive traffic to these marketing assets. So you should have a website, and you should be on, say, Google, and the Google should drive all the traffic to your website, and Google should not be like the last stop for the patients to see. So your website should be the one which should get the maximum the hits, and it should be the one which should be viewed and utilized by the patients. So this way, your time and effort will go into renovating your own house rather than that of a landlord who can kick you out anytime. So feedbacks and reviews are extremely important in this day and era. So a side benefit of it is a social proof. Social proof is that you're somebody who is very real, who is genuine, who is authentic, and this builds the trust, and this builds that the patients feel that they're dealing with humans, And it is extremely important to take these reviews and feedbacks and testimonials and put it up. I know we all feel vulnerable when there is a negative feedback, when there is a negative review. But I think if there is one negative review for 10 good positive reviews, we really don't have to worry. We are not running a beauty parlor, or we are not running a mobile selling store. So as patients, I think they all understand as to what is important. So the important thing is our diagnosis, our management, not about our etiquettes, or not about our dressing, not about like whether we give them a cup of coffee when they came. So all these things are just like, an additional value, but that is not the mainstay. So thinking about again social media, there are a few traps. First, it can be like, it can suck out a lot of time from your end, and it is extremely important for us to be disciplined with the use of social media. We shouldn't be consumed with it, and we cannot get carried away by just like, doing only the social media marketing. And some people think that social media is just free marketing, but it involves a lot of time of yours, and I don't think anybody's time is free. So we are actually like, investing our time into it, which is again most important thing. So again, there is a question of ownership. The social media account could be belonging to a social network like Instagram or Facebook, but then again, that is the way of life, and we have to accept it. So spending huge amounts of time and money building up an audience on these networks, again, it ends up building their assets rather than our own, like assets of Facebook and assets of Instagram. So fear of being judged, all as doctors, I think we all are in this phase of having this fear. And the fact is that we are too afraid to go all out and do that, except for a very few, because they think like, what will our friends, relatives, or our other peers will think about us. So I think we should get over it and tell what we have to tell and build our brand. A brand building is a personality. A brand is a personality of a business. And when we use the personality, I think it just stands for what you are. So that's why, as small business owners, the best form of brand building is like selling our services. So branding is something which we do after somebody has utilized our services, rather than doing it even before you start off. See, you can't build a brand when you are like just a beginner in your practice. You can build a brand after people have utilized your services, after you have a set number of patients as your clientele. So this is, I think, egg first or chicken first kind of a thing. But we have to understand here that we sell ourselves as a brand when we give good service to a patient. And we should never try to copy large hospital strategies where they put in like, huge advertisements in broadcast, print, outdoor, digital on regular basis, and over an extended period of time. So we have limited budget and we have to spend it very mindfully. But in large corporate hospitals will have large budget, and they believe in mass marketing. They believe in branding because they have the bandwidth, they have the revenue to do it. And never like, try winning awards by paying. All this will not go a very long way. Never imitate what the bigger hospitals do, and always follow a proper, I think, plan of marketing. Don't do random acts of marketing, doing it for say like few weeks and then stopping it, or 1 or 2 months and then stopping it. See how we build our practice. See, easily, if we just do physical practice without actually doing any marketing, it will easily take us 7 to 10 years for it to build. So it is similar in the digital space, where it will take long time for our brand to build, for long time for our profile to actually have that authenticity even on digital space. And that is the gestation period that we need to give. So what works for most small hospitals is like direct response marketing like Practo, but Practo is very expensive. Google ads, yes, but that's also quite expensive. Facebook ads, Instagram ads, these will work. So if you put up an ad, so you will have to like, I mean, keep checking, have a CRM, and then you need to check how many actually responded to those ads. So this works for few people, and we'll have to track it, all these ads that we put up, because they're all quite expensive. And these are trackable, measurable, and it targets a specific audience or a niche. So this specific audience could be like geographically specific, it could be the age specific, it could be gender specific, and these all can be like filtered on the different social media platforms. But putting up ads is a very expensive affair, and we'll have to actually have a good plan to do it. And the ROI has to be like, properly checked before we actually start doing this. And there are easy ways to respond, like email, phone number, or a landing page response that we get in these, and we'll have to like follow it up. This includes multi-step, and short-term follow-up is again possible in this kind of marketing. So as individual professionals, as doctors who run small clinics or who run like small daycare centers or even small nursing homes, we don't have that kind of budget to run the ads in sufficient volume to make them effective. So whenever, like, like we kind of see a season which is a little dull, and then we think that, oh, we have to put up ads, and we put up ads, but it's actually not very effective. So when we do it, we have to do it like full hog so that it becomes effective, and we get the results. So digital marketing is the most expensive component of marketing, so it needs to be selected and managed carefully. And organic growth takes a long time and lot of effort, and it cannot be delegated to others. It is not like you pay a digital marketing company a set amount of money, say like 10,000 or even like 50,000. It is not going to translate into getting you more work, because it cannot be delegated. It is you who is the driving force in the marketing, and you have to put in that effort to help yourself. Or the marketing person can only facilitate the growth, but he is not the key member for it. So a team effort, business is a team sport, one in which you are never going to win on your own. So if you're all alone doing everything on your own, it is never going to be a successful business, which we need to understand. So there are three parts of the business, like one is three key people. One is entrepreneur, who has the idea, who has the, I think, the strategy. The specialist is the one who is like a doctor, who kind of knows the technical stuff, and a manager who takes care of the entire infrastructure and the whole processes, and also the marketing. So a doctor can be an entrepreneur and a specialist, but we definitely need a manager who can manage things for us effectively so that we go to the next level. So three phases of marketing journey: before, during, and after. In before journey, so the public don't even know that we exist, and this phase will end when the public knows us. So you're all out there in YouTube, or you're coming on Instagram, you're coming on Facebook, and they keep seeing you, and they start seeing your work, and they start knowing you. So that is the first phase. During phase is like they become leads, like they show interest and they fill up a form, or they inquire like, can I come and see you, and they like us. So the third step is like after, wherein we label them as patient. They actually come into your clinic and you see them, and this becomes like, somebody who you can kind of convert as a patient who will be with you for lifetime, like say starting from adolescent to reproductive age to pregnancies to through the menopause. And they trust us because they have been through with us, they know us through media, so they trust us. And this will this three M's in the before phase is the market, that is the target market, that what we have to choose as to where you want to market, the message, what message you want to give, and what media, what vehicle you are going to use to send this message. These three M's are very important, and we need to hit all the three of these to have a successful campaign. So selecting target market is extremely important. We can't deal with like everyone. When you mean that everyone we are targeting, it means no one. So mass marketing doesn't work for small and medium-sized practice. We have to narrow down our target market, wherein we say we are marketing only for patients between women between the age group of 20 to 40, mostly the reproductive age group. So IVF per se, we target only the reproductive age group women. And we have a niche, which is a tightly defined portion of a subcategory that we want to market. and it takes only limited amount of money. Say like if we are targeting for laparoscopic surgeries, we target only women, we target women between a certain age, and we target the geographical location. So if we are targeting high risk pregnancy, again, the age group becomes very important, very relevant in this. So if we are doing everything, then it is bound to become a failure. And targeting a niche. So you select your subspecialty. Do you want to market yourself as an IVF specialist? Do you want to market yourself as a laparoscopic surgeon? Do you want to market yourself as a high risk pregnancy specialist? So first we need to figure out the niche that we want to target, so that it is effective if we are a big fish in a small pond, and it is ineffective if we are a small fish in a big pond. So this is extremely important, where we dominate a category or a geography in a way which is impossible by being generalistic. So we can't say we are just a ops gynae specialist. So you need to go to that subspecialty level and prove yourself. So niche, again, we take these parameters: personal fulfillment, as in like what is our passion and what is the value of that subspecialty to the market, and what is the profitability. So of course, in all this, our passion is the one which is the most important, and we'll have to figure it out ourselves. So niche, once you have that niche, then the pricing is irrelevant. You can charge what you want because you become an authority. And also, a specialist is much more highly respected than a jack of all trades. So one of the massive advantage of targeting a niche is that the marketing becomes cheaper, and the targeted advertising ends up being much cheaper than mass marketing. And this is like saving. So ads, it doesn't really work so much nowadays for individual consultants or for smaller clinics and setups. It is better to build interest in the public than directly selling ads, because even if you see in the Google page, like there will be sponsored, 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 and patients actually see the one which is below the sponsored ads, which is the organic listing which comes out. So advertisements of small businesses are self-focused, and it is not speaking much about the needs and problems of the prospects. So educating the public is extremely important, and it is a powerful weapon. When we educate and teach, we are seen as experts and an authority in that field, and our trustworthiness skyrockets, and we are positioned as expert, and we are set apart from our competitors. So we have to create this content regularly and tell our audience about how much effort that we put in to deliver our services, and we have to tell them about our skills. And content is king, as we all know, and public now wants to know more and more about the topic, because I think after Geo has come with so much of free data, so everybody has an access to internet, and they want to like know more and more information. They're hungry for the knowledge and information. So why should they choose you? So quality and services is what everybody tells, but they are an expectation from everybody. They are just a good practice, good business practice. It is not something unique. So what is the uniqueness is, like, we need to attract the patients before they actually come to us and see our work. So only when they come to us, they will see the quality and service. But our aim in marketing is that we should be seen as a good specialist even before they actually see our work. So only by marketing we can be able to do that. So what not to do? It is like price cutting is not something which is a good thing. It is actually soul crushing, and it cannot go a long way. Positioning should be done differently, where we are an authority, where we can choose a niche and we can say that this is what my area of strength is, and this is what I'm going to charge. So there is always someone who is willing to do the service for lesser price. So better not to get into that competitive game, where if a patient has been told a certain amount for a procedure, like do it for lesser. So these are not something which is going to go a long way. So it is better to charge decently and attract better quality client than to cut corner, than to do in this price fight and end up in, like, not getting the quality clients. So we have to increase the value of our offering by making sure that we tell the public that we are good at what we do, and they gain that kind of trust. So putting the right stuff in front of wrong people, or the wrong stuff in front of the right people, is one of the first marketing mistakes. So it is always important to put the right stuff in front of right people. So we have to find out what are the trending topics on social media, what is the search engine keyword, like the important ones which are trending, and how do we actually like educate the patients based on that. So now the trending ones are like the HPV vaccination, or it could be like how to get pregnant naturally without IVF. So these are the ones which are trending, so which we have to be aware of, and that is what we need to speak about on our website or on our blogs or on podcasts. And we need to check as to what people are reacting for that and be aware of it. So strategies, again, value, we need to add value, because every public's time is important. And language, if it is in a local language, it is great because the connection is very strong. Uh, and whenever we are doing some promotional activity, we'll have to tell the reason as to why we are doing it. Say you are doing a free pap smear camp or a free cervical cancer screening camp. So we need to tell them as to why. And we can upsell our services. Like if a patient comes for a consultation, we can offer a pap smear test or relevant investigations. And the seamless experience for the patient is very, very important. And this is the one which will actually help us in strengthening our practice. So if you say that, oh, I only take cash, I don't take card, I don't have the UPI, that is where the problem starts. So always the experience for the patient has to be very seamless for it to continuously, like, go to that next level. And better to be a little unique in what you do. Connecting to the audience in their language on social media is important. Showing empathy goes a long way, and people love authenticity, personality, and strong opinions. So all this, I think, again, are etiquettes that we need to follow. So naming the clinic or a hospital is again one of the most important thing, because we can't change it. And we need to do a lot of background work when we do that. So coming to the two critical stage, one is capturing the lead. That is like once you go all out and tell about your work, like many patients will show the interest, and how you nurture that lead. So this is the during phase, the second phase, what I was talking about. So don't like start saying like, okay, if the patient asks, okay, do you do this, say low dose HCG protocol? Yes, we do. This is what we charge, you should come tomorrow. So that is like selling yourself directly. So once you plant your seeds, you have to wait for them to be ready for the harvest. So just give it some time. Don't push too many ads. Don't push yourself. So we'll have to just nurture these patients and treat them with care, like how we do for the plants. So we have to keep answering their queries. We have to, like, remember their names, build relationship, even on social media platforms. I have so many of them who just keep asking questions, like they're undergoing treatment elsewhere, but they keep commenting on my YouTube videos. And this is how we build the trust. And we can offer health checkups, free health awareness talks, pap smear camps, women health checkups. So CRM is something which is very important, wherein any patient who has inquired on social media, so you have a list of that, and you can call back that patient, you can communicate, you can kind of keep giving them reminders. But this is something which is now done by the marketing company, and this you can outsource. So when they become your patients, they already have that trust and faith in you, because they have seen you speak so many times on the social media platform. So once they come to you, they come with a lot of confidence. So the important thing is like the education that we give to them, which is an authentic data, that goes a long way. And with education, we build trust. With education, we position ourselves as an expert, and we build relationships, and we make the selling our services easier to the patients. So this is again very important in the clinic, that the ease of payment. So have everything under one roof, like don't make them run around. And having insurance now is extremely important. EMI facility, I don't know, I mean, I don't have it, but people keep asking for it. So payment always, like, from the patient side should be seamless. So we should make sure that there could be repeat visits, which is possible by giving them a reason to come back, like a free lab test in the subsequent visit, or an ultrasound coupon, or offering them pap smear at say a discounted price. So once we are kind of an authority, we can always charge a little premium, and always make sure that, like, you don't cut on your prices, because inflation itself is, like, 6%. And we definitely, as doctors, I think we all deserve, because we don't get any free electricity or free water, free schooling for our kids. I think uh, all doctors should charge, I think, decently well, so that they don't feel shortchanged when they are retired, or they should have enough asset for themselves. So how do we measure the marketing strategy that we have put in? We have to constantly measure, manage, and improve our numbers. And we don't need a story for that. We just need numbers. So either our marketing can fail, or we don't know what is happening with our marketing, or our marketing can succeed. So these are the only things which can happen. And how do I measure it? So did the marketing campaign. So if you are investing, say, like 20,000 per month on this campaign, we should have a data as to how many patients came through that, how many were actually converted into a procedure, and was our the income more than what we had actually spent on marketing. So all this will take quite some time to achieve, but once it achieves, then there is no going back. There will be exponential increase in the revenue rather than incremental. So we just need to give it some time for it to mature. So if at all, if we are just spending and if there is no effect which is shown in 9 months to 1 year, then I don't think it is something which you are doing it right. So you need to reanalyze as to what needs to be done, and then you need to figure it out. So, but all the time you need to remember that we have to measure it, and then only we can manage it. So what we don't know will definitely hurt us in this, because we will be spending a large amount of money. So if you are having a marketing agency, then it is our duty to fall behind them and ask them as to what is going on. They will never call us and tell us, okay, this has happened. So metrics which are important is lifetime value and customer acquisition cost. Lifetime value means if a patient comes through the digital space, once they are impressed with you, they will remain with you for lifetime. So it is not just about one consultation. It is about, like, a lifetime value that we need to look for. So the response rates, conversion rates themselves are useless. It is only about, are we having customer acquisition cost which is reasonable, and lifetime value, is it really adding? So constant testing of this, measuring and improving this number is very important. So what can happen if your marketing is effective? So there may be too much workload. If you're already too busy, then there may be too much work, which again is a good thing. But you can again, like, filter it out by raising your prices, which again adds to your EBITDA or your profit. So always have an audit where you check how many leads you have got, what is the conversion rate, what is the average transaction value, and what is the break even point for your setup. So all this, like the rent, the staff payment, the utilities, and so many other operating expenses will be there. So the key metrics that we need to measure and manage is what is our monthly recurring revenue, what is the churn rate, that is what are the expenses, and how many customer lifetime value we have achieved. So these are the types. So there could be problem patients for whatever reason. There are a few patients which are never happy, and they're always whining, dissatisfied. Even if we shower them with gold, they will still find some fault and something to complain about. So it is always better to let go of these kind of patients rather than to hang on to them, because we miss out on the quality patients, and our effort and energy gets sucked out by these patients who are problematic. So we call them as TTP. In Kannada, we call it as Taletino party, like who kind of suck out our energy. So always remember that we spend maximum time in our profession, in our career, and practice should always be fun, so that we can enjoy our profession maximally. So if we allow these kind of customers or like patients to suck out the fun, then we are just, like, losing out on our time and quality time. So the confusion for the doctors is, like, doctors don't have a business. Uh, Rather we are the business, because it is our skill which is the business, and it is not the setup, it is not the system. So we have to, I think, go to that next level where our system should run without us, And then it becomes like, we are having a business. We are not the business. So if we are the business, we can't really scale it. We will remain as a small business throughout our life. But the goal is to eliminate the biggest bottleneck from our business, that is you. Everything should not be dependent on you. Even if you take a break for like 1 month, the system should be so strong that it should be running and you should still be able to make profit out of it. So having systems, if you build the value of the business, and that can happen only when you have systems in place, when you delegate work to your juniors, when you hire people who can do the work at least 80% of what you can do efficiently. If they are able to do it, then I think it is a job well done, and we should delegate that to somebody else. So leverage and scalability, like how McDonald's, like similar way, like we should be somebody who just has everything as processes and systems, and we should have a system and a business which can run without us. So if we have a strong system in marketing, strong sales system where we have the infrastructure to nurture the leads, follow up and get them converted like a PRO, and if we have an actual like good skill sets in the hospital and a good administration system, then that is going to be something which is a very, very profitable practice. So, and it should be a replicable one where the same business we can replicate into multiple geographical areas. And only why few succeed is because they think that their practice is very different and marketing will not work for them. They don't have that ability to delegate their work to others. And as entrepreneurs, they work in results in economy, whereas most people work in the time and effort economy. So time and effort is, if we put in this kind of time, what is the money that I will be getting? So that is the wrong notion. So we should think about what is the value that we are adding, and the money will come automatically later on. So we have to focus more on the value and less on the effect that is making money, which can really help us in having a long-term success. So Einstein's famous definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, which is not possible. So what used to work like say 10 years back will not work now. So we have to be adaptable. We have to change according to the new generation, and this is the way forward, which all of us, if we understand and we act on it, then I think that is the mantra for success. So thank you very much. I don't know how much of it was really kind of yeah, understood, but this is something which I think everybody should know, because this is something which every doctor, um, because I think we all spend a lot of our time and our youth in building our practice, and every one of you should have a great life, because you all deserve it. And I don't think there is any other profession which is as hardworking as gynecologists. We are a different breed altogether. So please read up. Please kind of explore things online. It will really take you a long way. And I am telling it with my experience. I have done a lot of, I think, kind of back and forth trial and errors. But this is something which everybody should really use. So thank you very much for your patient hearing. I will go on to the next topic. Dr. Deepa Patil. Madam is a consultant infertility specialist in Bijapur, and she is finished her MBBS from Davangere, and she is now practicing in Bijapur as a fertility consultant. Madam, over to you, madam.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shilpa, for your kind introduction. At the outset, I would like to thank the KSOGA Fertility Committee for giving me this opportunity. After a very informative talk from by Dr. Shilpa and Paresh sir, mine is a very simple topic which we are doing in our day-to-day practice. So ovulation was initially monitored by conventional methods like basal body temperature and mid-luteal serum progesterone and urinary LH. But nowadays, ultrasound is used for follicular monitoring both in both natural and stimulated cycles. So vital component of it is a vital component of IVF and IUI assessment, and also timing of the trigger injection. Employs a simple technique of assessing ovarian follicles on regular intervals and also their ovulation. Why do we have to monitor? To evaluate if the dose being used is optimal, to adjust the dose of the drug, as some patients are very hyper-responsive and also some are poor responders. To time the IUI, and also to find the optimal time for ovulation induction, to avoid excess stimulation and prevent OHSS and multiple pregnancy. How do we monitor? So by ultrasound, color Doppler, power Doppler, mainly for the morphological growth of follicles. By estradiol alone indicates functional activities of the follicles, and usually we do it by both the techniques. Transvaginal sonography is the accepted method at all infertility clinics. So the advantages in ultrasound technology have changed the management of infertility. With the advent of color Doppler, pulse Doppler, 3D ultrasound, 3D power Doppler, the previously unexplained causes of failure of fertilization and implantation can now be explained. Journey to ovulation begins during late luteal phase of a prior menstrual cycle, when certain 2 to 5 mm sized healthy follicles form a population from which dominant follicles is to be selected. This process, which is known as recruitment. Usual number of such follicles may be around 3 to 11, which goes on decreasing with advanced age. The dominant follicle is selected very early during the menstrual cycle and become apparent as early as 5th day on ultrasound. The fate of the follicle can be decided by the size, rate of the growth, internal echogenicity, and wall thickness. Antral follicles in early follicular stage of menstrual cycle start growing under the effect of endogenous or exogenous FSH. A follicle that is more than 10 mm in diameter grows at the rate of 2 to 3 mm per day and has no internal echogenicity and has a thin pencil line like walls, is not only more likely to become the leading follicle, but will also give us a mature, healthy ovum. But one important learning point in this regard is largest follicle on the day 3 of the cycles may or may not be a dominant follicle in the end. Process of dominance begins late when suddenly an underlying follicle suddenly start growing faster and suppresses others to become dominant. So what are the anthroponic features, V-mode features of a mature follicle? A mature follicle of 16 to 18 mm, it has thin walls, regular round shape, and no echogenicity in the lumen, and shows a thin hypoechoic rim surrounding the follicle, and sometimes cumulus-like shadow may be seen, which develops approximately 36 hours before rupture. A flimsy, irregular line is seen inside the follicle, parallel to the wall about 6 to 8 hours before rupture. Coming to the Doppler feature of a good pre-ovulatory follicle. Increase in the perifollicular vascularity of dominant follicle in theca layer starts developing as early as 8th day of the cycle. Fall in perifollicular RI resistor index starts 2 days before the ovulation and reaches nadir at ovulation, remains low for 4 days, and then with gradual rise reaches 0.5 in mid-luteal phase. When functionally mature, the on-color Doppler, the follicle shows blood vessels covering at least 3/4 of the follicle circumference. Increase in perifollicular vascularity of the dominant follicle in theca layer starts developing as early as 8th day of the cycle. Fall in the pre-ovulatory follicle with pulse Doppler showing low resistant flow. So on pulse Doppler, these blood vessels show an resistant index of 0.4 to 0.48 and PSV of more than 10 centimeters per second. The perifollicular vessels are those that obliterate the follicular wall with color Doppler. And we should not get confused. If the follicular wall is seen and the vessel is seen just beside it, it is not a perifollicular vessel. The embryos produced by fertilization of the ova obtained from the follicles, which had a perifollicular PSV of less than 10 centimeters per second, are less likely to be grade 1 embryos and also have higher chance of chromosomal malformation. It has been shown that probability of the developing a grade 1 or 2 embryos is 75% if PSV was more than 10 centimeters per second, 40% if PSV was less than 10 centimeter per second, 24% if there was no follicular flow. Coming to the volume ultrasound for follicular assessment. We do 3D ultrasound and 3D Doppler for the assessment of these follicles. We studied 5 follicles. Once the follicles of more than 6 mm for gonadotropin stimulation or more than 18 mm for clomiphene citrate stimulated cycle is seen and assessed by color Doppler. Volume ultrasound parameters of the good pre-HCG follicle. So follicular volume on 3D, the follicular volume of 3 to 7.5 cc has been found to be optimum for a good pre-ovulatory follicle. Then coming to the cumulus, follicles without visualization of the cumulus in all 3 planes are likely to contain not likely to contain mature oocytes. So it is important to look for cumulus oophoros also in the pre-ovulatory follicle. So it will be incomplete if I don't comment about the endometrial evaluation during follicular monitoring. So because endometrium is a receptor organ for majority of the hormones involved in fertility, and thereby study of its morphology and vascularity is thought to explain the mysteries of implantation failure. So therefore, like follicle, endometrium is also assessed by transvaginal 2D ultrasound and color Doppler before planning for HCG during any assisted reproductive techniques. So what are the B mode features of endometrium with good receptivity? On transvaginal ultrasound, 8 to 10 mm of endometrium thickness is optimum. Endometrium thickness has more negative predictive value for implantation. So morphology of endometrium is as important as thickness of the endometrium. So any breach or irregularity of myometrium junction is an indication of unhealthy endometrium and therefore poor receptivity. So 3D pulse Doppler for follicular assessment has to be done. So it has shown that follicular fluid concentration of leptin, it is a follicular angiogenesis related factor, are inversely related to the stromal blood flow index. It has also been suggested that the follicles containing oocytes capable to produce pregnancy have a perifollicular vascular network more uniform and distinctive. So depending on that, there are 3 grades, which is grade A, grade B, and grade C type of endometrium, as all of you know. So morphologically, the endometrium is graded as best grade A when it is a triple line endometrium with the intervening area is as hypoechoic as the anterior myometrium. The echogenicity is attributed to the development of multiple vessels penetrating in the endometrium, producing multiple tissues interfaces and therefore causing echogenicity and due to glycogen storage in the endometrium columnar epithelium. The endometrium is graded as intermediate or grade B when it is multilayered or triple line with hypoechoic intervening area. In grade C endometrium or the most unfavorable endometrium, it is a homogenic isoechoic endometrium. Coming to the Doppler features of endometrium with good receptivity. Segmented uterine artery perfusion demonstrates significant correlation with hormonal and histological markers of uterine receptivity, reaching the highest sensitivity for uterine blood flow. So there are different zones, zone 1, 2, 3, and 4. So zone 1, when vascularity on powered Doppler is seen only at the endometrio-myometrial junction. Zone 2, when vessels penetrate through the hyperechoic endometrial edge. Zone 3, when it reaches the intervening hypoechoic zone, and zone 4 when they reach the endometrial cavity. The pregnancy rates related to the zones of vascular penetration, it is 26.7% for zone 1, 36.4% for zone 2, and 37.9% for zone 3. Coming to the uterine artery Doppler, the pulse Doppler analysis of uterine artery waveform is done, and its resistive index should not be more than 0.9 and PI should be less than 3.2. Thank you so much.
Sorry. So I thank everyone for joining this session. I thank Dr. Deepa for giving this excellent presentation. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for sparing your time and coming. I thank Paresh Patel,
Thank you
sir.
so much, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you. We'll
Thank
meet
you.
again in the next webinar after a few weeks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone.